Hi butterflies, welcome to my garden. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And now let's get into the video. Guys, it's me. I'm back again. I'm back again. I'm back again. Okay. So today I'm going to talk about gender critical feminist, aka the TERFs. Okay. So I'm just going to give a brief explanation of what that term or that terminology is, and then I will just share my opinion and my thoughts on the movement altogether and what I think of feminism as a whole. Okay? So the women's rights movement or feminist movements or whatever is a movement that basically started in the 70s and excuse me, I'm still coughing. Where was I? So the women's rights movement or modern day feminists, basically, it pretty much started in the 1970s. However, there were feminists who were for all women, and then there were also this group of feminists who were against trans women in the feminist movement. So I guess there needed to be a term to separate the radical feminists who support trans women and then those who did not. So that's where TERF comes from. And then TERF is an acronym that says trans exclusionary radical feminists. So that term TERF, it was coined, I believe, in the late 2000s, and there are many anti-trans feminists that claim they see it as a slur, despite the accuracy of the terminology TERF. They see it as a slur. I guess it's part of the whole SJWs, everyone's sensitive. So even this anti-trans radicals, they get to be sensitive about what they're called, even though it's accurately depicting what they stand for. It's accurately describing their beliefs, but they see it as a slur. It's kind of like it's kind of like a racist person who doesn't like to be called racist. They're more upset about being called out for racism, and they don't have any problem with the fact that they're racist, but they don't like the word racism, and they don't like to be labeled as racist, but they don't have a problem doing racist things. So this TERFs, okay, I'm gonna call you if it quacks like a duck and it sits on a pond and floats and acts like a duck, then it's a duck, okay? So I'm gonna call you a duck, okay? TERFs it is. So they prefer to call themselves gender critical, which is basically a euphemism that's akin to like those white supremacists, for example, who were calling themselves race realists. See the correlation there? Anyway, so they're basically uncomfortable and they're therefore against trans women who dare to exist in women's spaces. So this could be dressing rooms, this could be bathrooms, this could be women's sports, which I talked about. You know what? I think Caitlyn Jenner might be gender critical. I think she might be gender critical. In my video where I was addressing her latest comments on trans girls and sport, I think she might be a closeted TERF. Took me a while to figure that one out, but yeah. Anyway, so, and the thing is, one of the arguments that they feel is they feel like trans women are basically, they weren't born female, so therefore they've grown up and they've experienced male privilege. So I think there's that bit of resentment that, trans women have experienced male privilege, so therefore they don't get to really fully relate to what a feminist is and what feminism stands for. I mean, feminism basically is fighting for the equality of women, the equality of the genders and the equality of the sexes. socio-economic equality of the sexes. Isn't that what feminism is? So why do you want to pick and choose what kind of woman you want to stand for? You're supposed to encompass all women, regardless of their past history. So you picking a section of women to not be for is kind of defeating the purpose. Am I wrong here? No? Anyway, it's just... anyway, so and also now, because of this sensitivity of this group of women, now any opposition, vague or literal opposition, is deemed as trying to silence women or oppressing freedom of speech, Like, that's what they fall back on. That's their defense. They're like, oh, if you're trying to oppose what we're talking about in the trans exclusion movement, then you're trying to silence women. So basically falling back on that patriarchal logic, that patriarchal logic that, oh, you're not allowed, we can hate on you and you can't criticize us for hating on you because that's like freedom of speech and it's oppressing my freedom of speech and it's like trying to silence women. And it's also, and it seems to be the new wave because this woman, what's her name? I took it down somewhere. Yes, Shayla Jeffries, who is this out and proud feminist. She went before the UK Parliament in March 2018. Not that long ago. March 2018. Mark that. She went before a UK Parliament and then she called trans women parasites. A feminist referred to trans women as parasites. Why? What did a trans woman do to you? Like, what's your damage, woman? So there's this irrational fear that trans women are basically men in dresses who are coming for their positions, who are coming for their livelihoods and invading their spaces. So that's the irrational fear. So this is just fear mongering where you're trying to feed into that fear that trans women are sexual predators and trans men are basically escaping patriarchy. So therefore, they're transitioning into men. They're women who are transitioning into men to escape a patriarchal society and then benefit from male privilege. That's the logic and that's the sentiment that a lot of these anti-trans feminists are pushing. And then we as trans women, we're just a whole bunch of predators who are coming for their spaces, invading their spaces, and coming for their positions and might be dangerous. See what I'm seeing? See? So, the thing that these women don't realize is like, trans people, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We've been around for decades and centuries. We have existed. There just wasn't a term for it. They didn't have the right they didn't have the verbal diagnosis for what it was. But we have existed in cultures and history. Do your research. We have been around. Maybe I might do a video that talks about trans people all through history, just to educate people. Maybe I might do a specific video when I'm talking about trans people all through the ages, because we've been around. I'm sure there were trans people even in the biblical times. Now, they didn't make it into the Bible, but that doesn't mean that we didn't exist. Well, we've been around. And you can bully us into the closet. You can bully us to go back in the closet if that's ever gonna happen. But hypothetically, you can bully us to go back in the closet, but you can't erase our existence because we are not going anywhere. We've been around. And more than ever, what we need now is solidarity. Whatever happened to sisterhood? Like, what we need now is solidarity. With so many problems going on in the world, why are you picking now to go against the validity of a trans woman's existence? Why are you trying to attack the validity of my womanhood or my femininity? Like, this is why there's a lot of people, in modern times, there are a lot of people who are nervous about being labeled as feminists, because I feel like there should be no room for transphobia in the feminist movement. Now I understand why Megan Fox feels like there's no room for her in feminism. Like feminists don't really stand for her. Now I understand a little bit of that. Because at first when she said that, I was like, I don't see why she would feel that way. But now I'm starting to feel that way because I feel like people pick and choose what is convenient for them to be, what is convenient for them to fight for as a feminist, or what covers what falls under the feminist umbrella. Like I feel like for example, even the Nigerian author Chimamanda, the one who was featured in the Beyonce song, she was also one of those people that said that trans women, she said trans women are trans women. She basically didn't want to say trans women are women because she feels like we've experienced male privilege, especially the trans girls from Africa, that we have experienced male privilege because we were born as male, and so therefore we got to experience the privilege that's accorded to men. So therefore the journey between somebody who was born female versus somebody who transitioned into female is completely different. We have two different journeys and we have two different experiences. And that could be true in some cases, like Caitlyn Jenner. For example, she is somebody who experienced male privilege for many years. She was a privileged white man who became a privileged white woman, but that's another story. I already read her Miranda rights in my previous video. Now, but this is about women, like women who are basically against us, and that doesn't make any sense. It's like the infighting, and this is not what we need, because now with so many laws coming out that are basically misogyny in disguise, where they're trying to govern women's bodies, about what a woman should or shouldn't do with her body, the whole pro-life versus pro-choice, with all those things that are coming into effect, don't you have a bigger fish to fry? Isn't there a bigger fight? Or am I the one who's being sensitive here? Like more than anything, we could all use that unity, because trans women, we fight. We're in the fight too. We're in the fight against misogyny. We're in the fight for equality and equal pay and all of those things. Access to healthcare. We're all in that fight. We're all in the struggle. So more than anything, we need that solidarity, we need the camaraderie, and we need the sisterhood, And it's shameful. It's shameful to see feminists fall victim to the same policing of gender and sexuality that patriarchal logic has laid on us for so long. Like, for so long. How long did it take for women were allowed to vote? It's not that long ago, because there are women who are still alive today that weren't able to vote in their youth. So, I feel like any other position is ethically and intellectually just bankrupt. I'm sorry. But I feel like any position that opposes the validity of a trans woman, I feel like it is so ethically, I'm really trying to pick my words carefully. I'm trying to be diplomatic and I'm trying to be respectful, But I just feel like more than anything, we need unity, we need solidarity. Like, don't just shun us. Don't shun us, because trust me, if you meet a trans person and then you actually have conversations with them and they share with you what they go through, you will see that there's a lot of similarities and a lot of things that you could draw from. There's a lot of similarities that you could draw from, and there's a lot of things that you could learn. And then you want to call us parasites because what? We're invading your spaces and we're taking things away from you? Really? Like what? Makeup? Dress? Positions, jobs? We could use jobs. Everybody could. I don't understand that Sheila Jeffries. I don't understand where that statement comes from. And honestly, at this point, I don't care to understand, because she's almost like a lost cause, and she's somebody who's just an unrepentant hater. Okay? So, in conclusion, We're not going anywhere. We're here to stay. So you might as well just learn to embrace us. Because most of us, all we just want to do is exist. All we just want to do is live. Just live life. So that's just what it is. What it all comes down to is a lack of unity and infighting. Because like it or not, we are women. Trans women are women. Our existence is valid. Our existence is very much a part of history. And that's never gonna change. No matter how much hate you try to spew on us, we're not going anywhere. So you might as well just readjust your beliefs and learn something new. J.K. Rowling and all those other women because she is basically the most famous famous example. But your concerns are not rational. Your fears are not rational. And she did that whole research basically to write her book. And then her book just basically confirms what a lot of people have suspected about her. The latest one that she released last year, which is just gaslighting, dog whistling, and signaling. That was foul and disappointing. I was never really a Harry Potter fan, but I was just glad to see when she was like announced as a female billionaire, one of the few female billionaires. I was like, okay, you do your thing, honey. But now, girl, lady, madam. Anyway, in conclusion, try to consider your trans sisters because it's a sisterhood. Whether you like it or not, it's a sisterhood. Whether you want to admit it, it is a sisterhood. And we're not going anywhere, we're here to stay. So please be respectful of our existence, and please respect the validity of our existence as well. And on that note, thank you for staying with me through this video again and watch me run my mouth. Although everything I say, I don't really just say things out of thin air. I come with facts and I come with receipts. Okay? So thank you very much, and I'll see you in my next video. So protect your energy, be kind to one another, keep the peace, and be safe. So bye.